This is exactly what I would do if I only had 3 weeks to get shredded, the step-by-step no BS way, so you can go from losing this per week to losing this per week. You have a holiday coming up, a photo shoot, a wedding, or an important event. It may require you to be shirtless, but I have to say this. Warning, this is simple, but not easy, and it's not sustainable long term. That's out the way. This is my in case of emergency break glass method. There are 5 simple steps to this method, but each step gets progressively harder than the next. Hi, my name is Dr. Michael Diamonds. I'm a medical doctor and a pro natural bodybuilder. I've done this myself prepping for shows, photo shoots, or a holiday. I even did this recently with a client of mine, Daniel Thrasher. He's an actor and a YouTube star. Take a look at what he had to say doing this.
Before I found Sculpt by Science, I was in London. I was in the middle of shooting Dinner with the Parents on Amazon, and I had gained like 5-10 pounds of just like chunky weight that I didn't necessarily want to see on the screen, you know? And I was told that I had to film a shirtless scene at the end of Christmas break. And so in a panic, knowing that I had 2 or 3 weeks to prepare my body, I reached out to Dr. Michael Diamonds and Sculpt by Science, and I said, hey, I need help. I'm on a show. I gotta slim down fast. I have a shirtless scene. Can you help me? And he did. And I was able to lose 7 pounds in a healthy way. I was actually eating more food than I think I'd ever eaten before, but with some level of sorcery and science ingenuity, I was able to drop weight, and I felt really confident on the day that I shot that shirtless scene.
At the end of the video, you'll be able to do the same and get shredded fast. Let's not waste time and dive straight in, and I'm actually going to start with the hardest step. Step number 1, I want you to do a 24-hour fast per week for the next 3 weeks. And I want you to not eat for 24 hours once per week, and I'll explain why with all the benefits. So basically, let's say you're starting my in case of emergency protocol. Every Monday for the next 3 weeks will be a fasting day, but this is the trick. I want you to have your last meal at 8 p.m. the previous day on Sunday, and that will start the clock, and then you can break your fast at 8 p.m. on Monday. This way, of the 24 hours you're fasting, 8 hours of the 24 you're already sleeping, making this much easier to do. And these are the benefits. We know to burn 1 pound of fat, you need to be in a 3,500 caloric deficit. And we know we can achieve this through calories in versus calories out. Now, because we aren't eating anything for 24 hours, essentially our calories in is 0. So all you have to do on day 1 is burn 1 pound of fat, which is burning 3,500 calories through calories out, which I'm going to show you in the next steps. If you've ever done a 24-hour fast, let me know in the comments. And if you're watching this video, what was your experience? Did you notice faster weight loss? Was it hard? And I know this is the hardest part, but this may inspire some people to try this. I do this myself at least once a month, but when I need an aggressive cut, I will do it once a week. But basically on day 1, you should have burned 1 pound of fat already, because you essentially eat 0 calories and burn 3,500 calories that day. Obviously, this isn't entirely precise, but the point I'm making is you're already putting yourself into a deficit to get shredded. And you can choose whichever day of the week that you want, whenever you want to fast. Maybe it's more convenient for you to do this on a Wednesday, once per week, but these are the benefits. And even my client Montino would do this every Sunday, and look at his photos, and he noticed that on a more practical level, he got so much more work done. After a 24-hour fast, he felt more mentally clear, very motivated. I have clients who also do this for their spiritual sense. He also liked how his body felt. It's so much easier following a diet the day after, because you essentially go from not eating anything to having a few meals at least. And when I do this, I feel mentally resilient. I'm cured of any cravings that I have. And it's an amazing start to the beginning of my transformation as a quick, big win. But these are the other benefits. Number 1, it will improve your insulin. We know that if your insulin is high, you won't lose any fat. Its main job, it's a storage hormone, primarily taking the glucose in the blood and transporting them to the correct cells that need it, like your muscle in the form of glycogen, your brain, or your liver. But when you're fasted for 24 hours, your insulin levels will be low, putting you in the best position to lose fat. It also does improve your insulin sensitivity, meaning your body becomes more efficient at using food, specifically glucose, in the future and decreasing the chance of that food being turned into fat. And I love doing this, especially with my clients who are pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, because it will dramatically improve all of your sugar markers, your fasting insulin levels, fasting sugar, HbA1c. It's amazing. Second reason, autophagy, which is basically the process of your body clearing out and repairing damaged cells. This is amazing for anti-aging and disease prevention by promoting cellular renewal and reducing the buildup of dysfunctional cellular parts. Third thing, there's a boost in growth hormone, which plays a massive role on your metabolism, your muscle maintenance, and will help you lose more fat. It will help you reduce inflammation. It improves factors such as your blood pressure, cholesterol levels, and your triglycerides, the amount of fat in your blood. It improves a thing called your BDNF, that stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It's a protein that is linked to improve brain function and neuroplasticity, and so much more. It's amazing for your gut health. A 24-hour fast can contribute to a healthier gut by mechanisms like modulating your microbiota, the bacteria, the good and bad ones that are in your gut, basically flushing out all of the bad bacteria in the gut and promoting the growth of good microflora by fasting. It also does strengthen the gut's barrier. Again, by fasting for 24 hours, you're giving your gut a chance to repair and recover. However, because individual responses can vary, research right now is still in its early stages. Let's go into step 2, the hardest part, an aggressive caloric deficit. But this is the first thing I want to show you. So let's transition over to the computer. Number 1, I want you to track your food. You only have 3 weeks. We have no time to waste. Now, tracking your food is the surefire way we can measure your calories in part. And there's research done at Duke University, right, showing you that individuals who just tracked, they didn't know their calories or macros or anything, lost weight. Now, the person who lost the most weight obviously was tracking both weight, the weight of their body, their food, and their behavioral skills. But you can see here that the person who only tracked food on an app lost the most amount of weight in the first month. So tracking is extremely important. We don't want to make mistakes. But this is my advice to make it even more aggressive. And I do this with many of my clients. For the 3 weeks, I make them eat the exact same food. Why? We want to reduce all the variables. We don't want to figure out if your body responds poorly to rice, or if your body's responding poorly to potatoes, or if you prefer white bread versus brown. Just using one particular diet can make things a lot more predictable and mentally can be much easier in terms of saving you with the decision-making process. So on day 1 of the diet, track your meal and then eat the same food every day for the next 21 days. I don't change it. So for me, the first meal would be pumpkin, which is low GI, low glycemic index, high fiber, will keep me full. The second meal will be the 4 wraps with reduced carb wraps. And then the third meal is a protein ice cream, and I'll eat that every single day for 21 days and my weight flies off. It's also great because your mind is expecting the food. Your gut becomes more efficient at processing that food. There is no downside besides the idea of not being entertained by eating different foods. And the mental shift you need to make is you're not eating for enjoyment, you're eating for performance. And then finally, what I also want to say, another reason why I want to show you this is, you may have not known this, right? But all the foods we eat have labels on them, right? Now, did you know that the FDA actually allows for calories to exceed or to be less by 20%. So the calories on a lot of the food labels you're eating, if it says 200 calories, it actually may be 240 calories or 160. And by eating the same food, you can decrease this level of variance. So just eating the same food can fix up all these mistakes, which takes me into the second part. And I talked about establishing a deep caloric deficit. Now I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. And step number 1, you can use an AI tool to be able to track this. In this case, we're going to use Alfred, right? And I'm just going to take Alfred, and you guys can take this info and just copy it, write your own, and you can paste this into AI. So I'm going to write, give me the maintenance calories for this individual right? And I'm gonna enter this. While that is thinking, that's one, right? You can use AI like ChatGPT to calculate your calories for your maintenance calories. I'm gonna show you what you need to do for an aggressive deficit. On the other end, what I do wanna show you is you can also use this website here. I'll link it in the description. I'm not affiliated or anything. So 32 years old, 5'8", 200 pounds. Anybody who trains about 5 times per week is active. Any less, I would consider you to be moderate, but an active individual. And it's the same information here, right? Basically that. 5 times per week is active. So also, if you see here in settings, the formula that all these calculators use is called the Mifflin-Saint-Jean formula. And I'm gonna hit calculate. Now, just to see, this gave us 2,840 calories, right? As his maintenance calories. 2,839 calories. Exactly the same thing with AI and this website. I also wanted to show you something cool. If you want to figure out someone's maintenance calories, the easy, simple, quick way, you can take your body in weight multiplied by 14, right? 2,800. Now it's slightly less, but what I'm gonna do in this case, to make this video very simple, the calories I'm gonna give the person is 2,800. Those are the calories for maintenance. But what we do want is to figure out the deficit. Now, usually, I'm sure you've heard, to lose a pound of fat per week, you need to be in a daily 500 calorie deficit, because 500 calories times 7 days in the week is equal to 3,500, which is equivalent to a pound. But this is an aggressive deficit. We only have 3 weeks. So instead of 500, I'm gonna pull up the ante and actually do 750. 2,800 calories minus 750 is going to give me 2,050 calories. So those are going to be the calories that Alfred needs to eat. So what I'm recommending is establishing a 750 caloric deficit. Now, establishing a deep deficit like this is going to have side effects. In the first 3 days, you may feel weaker. You may feel hungrier. Your training performance may drop. The next steps, I'm going to show you how to counteract those side effects, right? But this is going to help you drop weight quicker. In combination with step 1, having that 24-hour fast, and then also aiming to lose more than 1 pound, 1.5 pounds per week, right? Because 500 gives you 1 pound, 750 gives you 1.5 pounds per week extra. So you'll be burning an extra half a pound this method, right? Now, what we want to figure out is, okay, Mike, I get it. What about the macros, right? What about the protein? How much should I eat? What about the carbs? What about the fats? And the thing I recommend is 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So the usual amount is what you hear is 1 gram of protein per pound. Now again, this is not sustainable. This is not for everybody. Those are for the people who want to lose it in 3 weeks. I'm making this video because I get a lot of people like Daniel, who's an actor, or like a lot of my clients are like, hey Mike, I'm going to work with you for 4 months, but I have a holiday coming up. I would love to be in the best shape possible. Can we do a quick mini cut and then do it the right way? I'm happy to, I accept that. I get that scenario exists, so I'm gonna show you the best way, and I'd rather me give you the info. So now we need to figure out our protein, carbs, and fats, right? So as I mentioned before, we wanna give ourselves 1 gram of protein, 1.3 grams of protein per pound, right? So basically, I'm 200 pounds multiplied by 1.3 is going to give me 260 grams of protein. Now, what are the benefits? Why this? Protein is very, very filling. So this is one of the first things we're going to do to be able to counteract the aggressive deficit, right? Protein is the most filling out of the 3 macros, and it will help make this more sustainable. The second thing is we want to avoid losing muscle mass during this time. So being more on the higher side can give us a little bit more guarantee and a leeway. And finally, protein also has the highest thermic effect of food, which is the sexy way of saying your body burns the most calories breaking down protein compared to carbs and fats. So the only people who will experience a downside to eating this much protein are people who have kidney issues, liver issues, or have any gut issues. And if you do, you should not be doing this protocol at all. So 260 grams of protein. Now carbs and fats, what I'm gonna say here is I want to be in a I want to be eating 2,050 calories. Give me 1.3 grams of protein per pound of my body weight. Give 20% of my total calories towards fats, give the rest of the 2050 calories towards carbohydrates. We're in 2025. I hope you guys have AI more integrated in your life. Okay, now we know how many grams of protein we should be consuming, 1.3 grams per pound, right? So I'm gonna put here 1.3 grams of protein per pound. Now we need to figure out our carbs and fats. This is the easiest way to do it. I want you to figure out my macros for 2050 calories. I am 200 pounds and I want the following, right? So I want to be eating 2050 calories, give me 1.3 grams of protein per pound of my body weight, give 20% of my total calories towards fats, give the rest of the 2050 calories towards carbohydrates. What are my macros in PCF? Boom. So I'll let that calculate, but just to show you guys, while that calculates, so I have my protein figured out already. I'm just gonna show you like what to input on the calculator, right? So we know 2050 is what we're eating multiplied by 0.2, which is 20%, right? So basically 20% of 240 is 410 calories. And we know 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. So 410 divided by 9 calories to figure out the fats is gonna give me 45.5, right? And basically we need to solve for X, and that will be 2050. No, first we need to figure out how many calories is in this protein. So we can go 260. We know 1 gram of protein is equivalent to 4 calories. So then we're gonna multiply that by 4, which is gonna give us 1040, right? So basically it's 2050 calories minus 1040, which is the calories in carbs, minus the 410, which is the calories in the fats, means the calories we need to eat in carbs is 600. And to figure out how many grams of carbs, we need to divide that by 4, because 1 gram of carb is equal to 4 calories, which means it's 150 carbs. So we're pretty low carb, right? And I'm sure this is what the AI has also given us, right? 260, 150, 45.6. Voila. Now you have that. Now you have your calories. You're gonna ask me, Mike, what should I eat? The primary thing we need to focus on is our protein intake. So remember this for the rest of your life. Write it down. 2, 6, 8, 10, right? So it's like the 2 times multiplication minus the 4. I'm skipping the 4 because I never figured out what's 4, but remember this. 2 scoops of a whey protein is equivalent to 50 grams. 6 ounces of cooked chicken breast is equivalent to 50 grams of protein. 8 ounces of cooked steak is equivalent to 50 grams. And then 10 ounces of a white fish is equivalent to 50 grams. So basically, if I want to eat 260 grams of protein, I need to maybe have 4 shakes at some point. So 4 scoops, right? Maybe I have 2 scoops for breakfast, example. And then for lunch, I'm going to have chicken breast and veggies. And then for a snack, I'm going to have another shake with 2 scoops, right? And then for dinner, I'm going to have 8 ounces of steak, right? With, let's say, sweet potatoes. Maybe sweet potatoes is too high. Zucchini noodles, anything that's low carb. And then finally, I still need another 50 grams. So I will decide, you know what, I'm going to have, you know, a can of tuna, or maybe actually I'm going to have just some white fish on its own with veggies again. But that is exactly how you go about it. I want you to use the apps. MyFitnessPal. This is a great app. This is the classic app that you can track. Another app that you can use is Macro Factor by Jeff Nippard. This is Jeff Nippard's app, not affiliated. He's a YouTuber. I want to support him. This will actually calculate all of this for you. I think after 2 weeks, you need to pay. MyFitnessPal used to be free, but this one will figure it out for you. And the other app is Lose It. This is another app that you can use to track your macros. So now you know you're doing a 24-hour fast and you're in a 750 caloric deficit, and you're going to eat those macros. 260 protein, you're going to eat 150 grams of carbs, and finally 45.6 grams of fat. And you can even tell the AI, build me 4 meals using this macro, right? You can just type that up. Again, I need to say that I do not do this with my clients. We do blood analysis, we do DNA testing, hair tissue mineral analysis. We use so much more data to build this out. Give it to me. Okay, here it goes. So here it's building your meal plan. So this is meal 1. 1 cup of egg whites, 1 whole egg, half a cup of oatmeal. Let's see here, it's giving you meal 2. Yeah, so basically you can get AI to give it to you. That is everything to do in the aggressive deficit. And here you go. The AI can build an entire meal plan for you that hits those macros, and you can save yourself the time, or you can simply just take MyFitnessPal, you can take MacroFactor or the Lose It app and track all the calories, and I want you to eat the same food. At the end of the video, I'm gonna leave you with multiple options of different food ideas that you can use that are amazing. Actually, I'm going to leave you a recipe book with 20 recipes that you can be able to utilize. And there you go. Now you know how to set up an aggressive deficit. You'll do that in week 1. And I want you to drop your calories by 150 calories in the second week. So you're going to go from 2,050 to 1,900. And then in the third week from 1,900, I want you to go to 1,750. And that's another 150 calorie drop. And that will make sure that we continuously lose the amount of fat that we want to and that it's efficient. Now we've figured out the calories in portion. Now comes the even harder part, the calories out portion. Step number 3, the aggressive expenditure. What does that mean? We have now covered the caloric input aspect, but we also want to make sure that we burn about 3,500 calories per day. And these are going to be the ways to do it. Step 1 in the aggressive expenditure will be through steps. With every client I've ever worked with, if I can get them to hit 15,000 steps, this basically melts off. And how I want you to do that is I want you to wake up an hour earlier and get 6,000 steps. And again, before I get people crying in the comments about it's too much time, I don't know. This is an aggressive way. This is what I would do if I only had 3 weeks. 15,000 steps. If you wake up an hour earlier and you have a walking pad, or you have a gym downstairs in your building, or you can simply go out for a walk just 1 hour earlier, you can get 6,000 steps that way. And then if you come back from work after 5 p.m., let's say at 6 p.m., you can go out on a walk with your kids or your wife for another hour and do another 6,000, right? 10 minutes of walking is equivalent to 1,000 steps. 60 minutes will give you 6,000. If you do an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, you would have had 12,000. And then basically the 15,000 you would accumulate through just basically moving, going to the office, just your day-to-day movement. And you'll notice that you can hit 15,000 steps so easily. Now again, I did say this is the aggressive expenditure. That is everything to do with informal cardio. I also would introduce formal cardio. Now formal cardio will help accelerate the fat loss. This is adding more fuel to the fire. But you can do without it. It depends on how much weight you need to lose. But again, the aggressive way is I would make you do 5 sessions of 20 minutes of cardio on a Stairmaster, on the elliptical, on an incline treadmill at max, and I'll tell you the exact settings I want. On all the machines I just mentioned, the main thing I want is for your heart rate to reach 140 beats per minute. This is regarded as zone 2 in terms of the cardio, and this is what people widely regard as the fat burning zone. So 20 minutes in this fat burning zone a day will improve your VO2 max. This is one of the single most important metrics to utilize to actually see how long you can live. So on the treadmill, I would first, in the first 2 minutes, maybe just warm up, and then I would blast my incline to max. And I would roughly walk at 3 miles per hour, roughly at 6 kilometers per hour, right? And at that speed, I'll get my heart rate up really high. If I use the Techno Gym Stairmaster, I'd usually start at level 14. You guys aren't on my level, so you would probably have to be at level 10. But the Stairmaster gets your heart rate up really quickly. And then if it goes to 150 on the treadmill or on the Stairmaster, you can decrease the incline or reduce the levels on the Stairmaster. But basically, you want to sweat, you want to burn calories, and you want to burn the most amount in that 20 minutes. In week 2, you can go to 30 minutes for 5 sessions, and in week 3, you can go to 45 minutes for 5 sessions. This will be an amazing way to just burn more fat. And then finally, of course, I need you to resistance train. Most important thing here too is that we want to be able to maintain the most amount of muscle tissue because we're in a deep deficit. The chances we lose muscle here is high. So training diligently, training very strongly is so important. And let me just know, guys, if you want me, I made the glute video. I was thinking of building an entire workout series and then giving you a free plan to do. If you guys want that, hit the video with a gentle thumbs up and let me know in the comments. But resistance training 5 times a week. You don't want to skip on that part because then you're just going to look weak and flat. And I'm also going to tell you later in step 5 how to avoid feeling weak and flat with supplements. And that is everything that I want you to do in the aggressive expenditure. Step number 4, and I find this to be extremely difficult for so many people, but it is the most important, and it's going to be sleep and stress. If you don't get this part right, you're very likely to binge. You're very likely to be severely hungry. You're very likely to be very tired because the deficit, all the calories you're burning and all the food that you're eating will make you feel that way. But sleep will blunt and make this so much more sustainable. So I need you to sleep 7 hours. And these are a few things we can do to be able to ensure that. Number 1 is we want to set up your environment in your room. Environment is the invisible hand that shapes behavior. So I want your room pitch black. I want your room temperature to be at about 65 Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Fahrenheit cold. This is about 18 degrees Celsius if I'm not mistaken. And your body will actually fall asleep much quicker at that temperature. I also want you to follow this. I want you to consume your last little bit of caffeine 10 hours before bedtime. So if your bedtime is at 10 p.m., at noon, at 12 o'clock should be your last caffeine intake. 3 hours before bed, what I want you to do is have your last meal. So that'll be your 7 p.m. if you're going to bed at 10 p.m. This is that your factory that breaks down all the components of your food is shut down, right? This will help you go to sleep much quicker. 2 hours before bed, I don't want you while you're sleeping, waking up, going to pee every time. This will disrupt the testosterone production, growth hormone production while you're sleeping. Sometimes people wake up at night and then they can't sleep for another hour. So 2 hours before bed, we want to reduce our liquid intake. If you need to sip, sip. And then 1 hour before bed, no more devices. The blue light from your phone, your tablet, the TV is the same blue light emitted from the sun. It will stop the production of melatonin in the brain, the sleepiness hormone, and it will be much harder to fall asleep. But I'll also show you some amazing sleep supplements that are completely natural that will actually improve your fat loss. And in my experience with many of my clients, when we just focus on sleep, their weight flies off. Sometimes it's even more powerful than the caloric deficit itself because it does affect your behavior, especially your decision making with foods. And then we want to have low stress. You're already putting a lot of stress on your body through the activity and the diet. We want to keep our stress low. The best way to do this is simply writing gratitude in a journal, is simply going on more walks. The resistance training will help with stress, but the more aggressive way to go about it is 10 minutes of meditation using an app like Calm. I do 10 minutes on Calm every day. There's a 30-day beginner guide by an individual called Jeff Warren. He is amazing. He taught me how to meditate just by listening to it 10 minutes. And bringing your stress down can help dramatically. That's why stress eating is such a real thing. That's step number 4. Let's move on into the supplements aspect, which I rarely talk about, but when we're having an objective like a movie, this is some of the stuff we do. Maybe I'll save that for another video. These are the supplements that I want you to take. You need to be taking a multivitamin, any multivitamin. Why? Because you're in such a deep caloric deficit, it is essential that we replace all the missing components from what may be lacking in your diet with a multivitamin. The next thing that's going to help us dramatically with fat loss is caffeine. You want to know what is the number 1 potent ingredient in so-called fat burners? It's caffeine. And specifically, drinking black coffee is an amazing appetite suppressant. So you'll eat less food and it will make you feel less hungry. Every time I drink a cup of black coffee, even though I don't like it, I lose all appetite. I'm good. I don't want to eat anything. Caffeine is also shown when you get to that 300 milligram intake, which is usually the quantity in a pre-workout, it will show a performance boost in your physical and in your cardiac output. You'll start training so much more and burning more calories once you're at that 300 milligrams. So the way I do it is I'll do my routine in the morning and I'll have a cup of coffee in about an hour from waking up. All my hunger is gone. If you're caffeine sensitive, maybe switch it out for a tea. If you don't want it black, you can use a non-nutritive sweetener, and you can also drink sparkling water. I also recommend having then the pre-workout before you go train in these 3 weeks. This will give you the energy. And let me show you like the pre-workout that I recommend. But this, in my personal opinion, And again, I haven't worked with them in forever. This Pride is by far the best pre-workout I've ever had in my life. I stopped working with them a long time ago, but the product was amazing. And this is like my secret weapon that I give to my clients once we get going. So it has 550 milligrams of this thing called pentafine. What I like Pride is you don't get a crash with this particular supplement. So usually you'll take a pre-workout and you'll crash in the evening. But with Pride, this pentafine is a 5-stage energy release. So what I notice is I'm so much more energetic the whole day. So if I go to work out at 10 a.m., for example, or if I have a workout at 6 a.m., I have good energy even after my workout the entire day. So I'll maybe have a cup of black coffee and then I'll have this. It also has a thing called nootropics. And my level of focus on Pride is incredible. My clients, they're like, Mike, what's in this stuff? Like, I got tomorrow's work done. And what's cool about this is that it doesn't have any of the beta alanine, so you don't get the jitters, you don't get the shakes. In some events when I was a couple of weeks out from show, I would just take this as my coffee, which is perfectly fine. Let me see if I have a favorite flavor. Geez, they're like all sold out. Don't go jungle fruits. Blue slushy's trash. The strawberry one's like, also trash. I would go jungle fruits. My favorite one is the sour green apple, which is sold out. But caffeine intake is extremely important in this event. Again, after 12 o'clock, I'm not taking any more caffeine. And then after caffeine, the next supplement that I recommend is creatine, the most researched supplement. Examine.com explains caffeine beautifully, and these are the benefits. If you only have 3 weeks to get shredded, you need to be awake. You need to have accurate reasoning, reaction time, memory time. Research has shown that it can raise your whole body's fat oxidation rates during exercise, right? And you can burn more calories. So you can burn more fat with it. It improves aerobic and anaerobic performance, right? You will just burn more calories consuming caffeine. Again, be very careful on the quantity. I would say at max 1 cup of coffee and a pre-workout, or just 2 cups of coffee. That's it. If you have heart palpitations or if you have any cardiovascular conditions, caffeine is out of there. And then the next supplement that I want to recommend, and again, I'm not usually the person to talk about supplements. Again, it's there to supplement, to make things easier. So the caffeine will help you with the hunger and will help you with the low energy. The creatine that I'm talking about will help you with being able to draw water intramuscularly and for us to maintain our performance output, for us to maintain the muscle tissue we have, and for us to look good still. So having this creatine, you can use monohydrate. You just need 5 grams a day and that's it. And then finally, another supplement I like using, and this is really dependent on where you are in terms of body fat percentage, but I like using the supplement called Yohimbine HCl. It is a natural supplement. It is a derivative. It comes from the tree called yohim. It comes from the yohim tree, right? It's extracted from this tree here that I'm showing you guys. And anyway, what it does, in the most simple way that I can explain it, is that it makes stubborn fat cells readily available. So how to take yohimbine? You want to, at max, take 0.2 milligrams of yohimbine per kg, right? So if you are, let's say you're 80 kgs, we want to take at max 0.2 milligrams, so that's 16 milligrams. You would take 6 capsules of this yohimbine. But that being said, the way I would recommend is I would start with 2 capsules, right? So 5 milligrams. You want to take this fasted. It may not work. This one here isn't as conclusive. For some people, it has no effect. And for other people, yohimbine has shown to have effects and side effects of increased anxiety. It's anxiolytic. So if you have anxiety issues, skip on this completely. But this can help speed things up. Bodybuilders take yohimbine. Research on this is inconclusive. For some people, it may work. For some people, it may not. But this is something, if I had 3 weeks, that I would definitely put in my thing. And I'm not gatekeeping here. This is why I'm sharing this. And those are my 5 steps. My in case of emergency break glass protocol. All laid out for you directly. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever done something like this? Would you have changed, or is there a supplement you would have added or removed? And if you want to know how to build your meal plan, build your calories and everything more accurately and in more detail, this video has gotten about 400,000 views in the last month. So you can watch this and really build everything step by step for a more sustainable method. This is everything on the sustainable method. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.